We're following breaking news this morning. The publication The Atlantic has published text from that Signal group chat after top Trump administration officials repeatedly said that no classified information was shared. A recap now. The group on the messaging app Signal inadvertently included the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg. Also on that chain, top government officials discussing an attack on Houthi rebels in Yemen. Now, in his initial report on the incident published Monday, Goldberg chose not to disclose what you're seeing on the screen right now, military operations shared in the group. But after multiple officials in the chat denied that classified information was shared, well, The Atlantic is responding, and this morning it's revealing more messages from the chat, which you just saw. Goldberg writes, as a general rule, we do not publish information about military operations if that information could possibly jeopardize the lives of U.S. personnel. The statements by Hegseth, Gabbard, Ratcliffe, and Trump, combined with the assertions made by numerous administration officials that we are lying about the context of the Signal texts, have led us to believe that people should see the texts in order to reach their own conclusions. For more on this, let's bring in NBC News intelligence reporter Dan Luce. Dan, good morning. So we saw them scrolling across the screen there. What new information are we learning was sent in this group chat?
You know, Joe, this is reinforcing the original count that the Atlantic had of this text chain, and that is very specific details were shared about upcoming military strikes against Houthi rebels in Yemen. It involves discussion about specific fighter jet types, F-18s, that were going to be involved, F-16s. It talks about drones, specific drones, what time the air raids, the air operations were going to start. It even talks about one building being hit with a Houthi a senior figure believed to be in the building at the time. This is under any definition. If you talk to any national security official who served over the past 20 or 30 years, or a military officer, they'll tell you this is always considered secret. It's considered classified. And it's something that you don't want out because you don't want your adversaries to know what you're going to do, how you're going to attack them. You don't want to jeopardize your own forces. And you also don't want to give them insights into how your military is operating. It also, this group chat also, Joe, shows that indeed Michael Waltz, the National Security Advisor, or whoever was using his Signal app, invited Jeffrey Goldberg into this group chat, the journalist from The Atlantic. So that's also indisputable. So I think it puts the White House in a difficult position because it's kind of indisputable information that very sensitive material was being shared on this commercial app that is not a government-approved, officially government-sanctioned communications channel for classified information.
Dan, we should note the Trump National Security Team has said repeatedly that no classified information was shared on this chat and that the exchange did not include specific targeting locations. We've repeatedly heard Secretary Hegseth say no war plans were shared. Is this looking like a semantics argument about what we call this?
I think they're trying to turn it into that. But if you speak to anyone, again, who served in the intelligence or the military, they'll tell you, they'll tell you that this is, by any common sense definition, supposed to be secret, right? And of course, keep in mind the Espionage Act, which prohibits leaking state secrets, doesn't talk about classified information. It talks about national defense information. So throughout the national security apparatus, any information about upcoming military operations or possible military operations is considered highly secret, highly classified, because they don't want to jeopardize, again, and put people at risk in uniform or future operations. So, yes, they are trying to say something like this isn't a war plan. Well, experts will tell you that's sort of a distinction without a difference, right? Military operation, military plans, these are all basically the same thing.
And Dan, real quickly, how are officials in the Trump administration responding to this so far?
The first response out of the White House was to describe this as showing that that it's incorrect, to show that officials didn't share war plans, because the Atlantic referred to these, I guess, as military plans. And again, they're getting into this kind of semantic back and forth. But privately, Joe, in Congress, there are Republicans who privately are very unhappy about this and do believe that it was a mistake. And some of them publicly have said this was a mistake.
And we should know J.D. Vance has taken to Twitter. He says, quote, "It's very clear Goldberg oversold what he had." All right, Dan Luce, appreciate your reporting. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.